So I'd love your calls on this. Are same-sex schools wrong? 020 7862 2222 is the number. Tell us what you think. This is a subject that my panel have got personal experience with. So Bobby is not only a fantastic teacher as a child, you attended mixed and same-sex schools, correct?
Yes.
Saira here is governor of an all-boys school. Your children go to same-sex schools. I should declare that I was at an all-boys school until I was 16 when they introduced girls in the sixth form, which caused a sensation. I mean, a sensation. Perhaps shouldn't get too far into that. So what do you think about single-sex schools, Bobby?
So my own experience, I went to a mixed state school, boys and girls. At 11, I went to my local state school, a boys' school. And then at 16, I got a scholarship to Eton, and again, a boys' boarding school. But now, yeah.
I know.
Eton. I only found this out today.
I know.
Eton.
Isn't that incredible?
And that's all boys.
All boys. But now, as a teacher, part-time teacher, I've been in secondary and sixth form for a decade, I've taught mixed environments. What I will say is that single-sex schools, academically, there's significant research that shows that girls in particular outperform compared to girls in co-ed schools. And there's a great stat about 55% of girls will pass GCSEs in a co-ed, where 75% will pass GCSEs in a single sex. And that, in terms of numbers, there's about 300,000 girls per year, so 30,000. That's 60,000 additional girls will pass GCSEs if they all went to single-sex schools. So I think academically, definitely single-sex schools are a place where children can feel more comfortable rather than thinking, oh, I'm worried about the boys, I'm worried about the girls. Again, that's my experience as a teacher showed me that.
Okay, so academically, then there's an argument for single-sex.
So my children go to single-sex school, but it's not because I thought, oh, that's where they should go. It's just what was available in our local area. I'm a governor of an all-boys school, but at the sixth form, it goes co-ed. My son's 16, and he heard, my husband heard him say the other day, his friend said, oh, he can't wait to go to sixth form. And he said, I can't wait. And Steve said, well, how many girls are going? And my son went, not enough. so he can't wait for that co-ed bit.
Yeah.
I just think personally, I think you're going to see a lot of these single-sex schools mix into co-ed just because of finances. But, you know, society, once they get out there, it's not separated into gender. And we need to all learn how to cope with each other, etc. So I think there's an argument for it to be co-ed all the way,
Really?
And I think that's great.
But then you maybe,
I went to a co-ed school, by the way.
It's just we're talking about my sixth form experience. The distraction.
The boys.
Can you imagine these teenage boys and then the girls arrive? We
then if
were
you've been
basically
used to
in a
them-
stupor.
But then if you've been used to being with girls all that way, it may not have been such a shock.
What a good point.
Yeah.
It was a shock. Jill in Greater Manchester, would you go single-sex?
Definitely, if I've had the chance. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity. I was meant to go to a single-sex school, but then we moved house, and then my parents put me in the local mixed-sex school, which turned out to be an absolute nightmare.
Oh. That's unfortunate, because that can set the whole course of your life, can't it?
It really did. It did for me anyway. I mean, most of the classes, the teachers were just spending time telling the boys off. During lunchtime, the boys would smoke cannabis. And then, you know, during the afternoon, they'd just play up. And some teachers would actually say, this class is unteachable. And they'd walk out of the room and they'd leave us for the rest of the lesson.
Oh, poor you. So did you come out of that without much in the way of qualifications?
I actually left school with nothing. And then I made the decision that just wasn't good enough. So I went to college and got my qualifications.
Great. Okay. And you're doing well now?
I am doing well now.
Good. Oh, boy, that's a good old story. I mean, that's the trouble, isn't it? That when you got, half the class, if they want to smoke cannabis or whatever, that's fine. They can destroy their own chances. Yeah. But they're destroying Jill's as well.
I know. And the school is such an important. Yeah. Well, it's your identity, isn't it? It's how what you're going to go on and do in life, and it's about education. But I mean, both of my children in their schools, there's disruptive behaviour, by the way, whether you go into a co-ed or a single sex. It doesn't matter. But I feel like my daughter is just, in those formative years being in a single-sex school, she just feels like she's got more confidence, not a lot of distraction. But at the same time, I feel like you've got to have that distraction to be able to deal with things in real life.
Go on.
There's a really good quote actually from a headmistress of Downhouse School, and this actually reflects my views, Emma McKendrick, and she says, there can be a sense that girls are good for boys because they level things out, but that's not a role I want a woman to play. And again, as a teacher, when I've got girls in my class, I often think, phew, they can help calm down the lesson.
Wow.
And it means that they're just used as almost like they're not there to be individual students and pursue excellence. They're just there as a way to calm the boys down. And that's a wrong role for girls to be. Girls should be considered on their own merit rather
You're right,
than just
they're sort of
antidote.
like bollards.
Yeah, they're bollards. They're just
Stop speeding.
Yeah, that's what it is. And again, again,
That's amazing.
And one of the things I found is that girls in mixed environments, teachers can be stereotypes. They can be like, oh, the boys are the physicists and the mathematicians, maybe the girls can be the art students.
Sure.
Whereas in a girls-only school, oh, the top students, you can be physicists and mathematicians. There's a really stark stat that in 50% of all state schools that are co-ed, not one student does physics at A-level who is female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not one student
Wow.
in a co-ed environment.
I do think, you know that book,
That's
was it
interesting.
Men Are From Mars and Women
Women
Are From Venus? I mean, the difference between teenage boys and teenage girls, I haven't got sons, so I've got two daughters. My daughters are so mature, they're more mature than me. I can't, most days I'm cracking a joke, they're like, Dad, this is serious, okay? I mean, they tell me to turn my music down. I think they're so different. I don't think they should ever be in the same
Well, I've got a
institution.
son. I've got a son and a daughter. My son's older, my daughter's younger. I mean, they are worlds apart. I never believed in that boys are from here and women. But when you see it played out in your life, you go, oh my goodness, we are different.
It's just, I suppose it's to do with developmental things and how quickly females mature.
But also at our school, the curriculum has been designed because they've really analysed the male behaviour, what boys do at certain times,
Right.
sports, dinner. It's all thought out, and
Fighting.
it works. It's interesting.
Right. Connie in London, hi.
Hello, good morning.
What do you think? Have boys, girls, and boys' schools, girls' schools, keep them separate because anything else is a disaster?
I think keep them separate, definitely.
Yeah.
I went to a convent school at the age of 11. I went to Notre Dame High School in London.
Right.
And I feel that we were educated to a point that anything was possible. You had, no distractions. You concentrated on your lessons. And this is how I feel it is. My own children, my son went to Wimbledon College just up the road, and my daughter went to the Ursuline Girls' School just up the road. So at 16, before they started A-levels, they would meet at the top of the hill and they would have mixed lessons. But them growing up in single schools up to that age, I don't think it did them any harm at all. I think it made them very well-balanced individuals, if anything.
Thank you, Connie. Judith in Somerset, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I went to, I'm from a military background.
Well done.
And as children in the military families, when you're 11, you go to, you usually, especially if you're abroad, you go to boarding schools. And believe you me, they were mixed, but the achievement that was done by the staff, we had a very, very good, a very high record of what our standards were. It was a brilliant thing to go to, and quite
a mixed boarding school. That's a whole other realm.
No, it was but they were. They had. It actually was in the U-boat barracks in Wilhelmshaven, and we actually had the boys on their side of the water, and we were on the other side. But we were mixed. Don't get me wrong.
You get to classes, but in a U-boat, did you?
I think it was one. I think it gave us a much broader insight. Bear in mind, Jeremy, this was in the 50s, 56, 57, 58.
Be in Germany.
It gave us a deeper insight, and it was much different, as you well know, or you might not know. But the feeling towards boys, we were very, had to be Miss Prim, Miss Proper. But at the same time, because we had access and we were going with the lads, we did sailing. The amount of things that we were taught.
Brilliant.
It
sounds good. It sounds like you've got a good.
Ever.
I mean, we've cracked it there. You have a girls' school and a boys' school, or two separate halves of a school, and you connect them via submarine. That's with a little dog in the background. Judith, call of the day. Thank you so much. We love the dog. It was just perfectly timed interventions.